Let's talk some toys in here.
Hey, how's everybody doing today? It's the Man-Child. Okay, so today for review, gonna go over the Master Universe Origins Cartoon Collection Stratos figure, part of the Waiver Series 2 assortment of Cartoon Collection figures. Yeah, it's interesting seeing Stratos now in hand as part of the Cartoon Collection. I just reviewed Merman, so if you want to go see that video, you can go check it out on my channel. I thought Merman came out awesome, one of my favorites. I was excited to get him in hand, and yeah, it just came out great. Stratos, to me, going back to the vintage figures, was sort of, I want to say, a bland character, you know. I think because he just didn't come with a staff. It was neat that you had a character that can fly around, has some wings and a jetpack and whatnot. But yeah, I was always disappointed about the weapon. Even when the Classics one came out, which I have in card, also didn't come with a weapon. Later on, he added a weapon with another figure. So with this Stratos, you can see now they have the Staff of Avion, which he does come with. So that's awesome. And now, taking a quick look at the awesome art on back of Stratos' packaging. So yeah, really cool art as always, like all the Origins comes with. So we got a lot of stuff going on here now. All of these cartoon figures, or at least the figures with certain accessories like the Staff of Avion, they're marketing them going back to certain episodes, going back as far as the animation. So you see is As Seen on Reign of the Monsters, that was an episode. From what I remember, so pretty much they were having a Stratos and his people of Avion, was having a celebration. They brought out the staff. They would bring it out, and once in a blue moon as part of celebration. These ships coming in here were, I believe, they were controlled by these underground people called the Torques, working with Skeletor, and they needed that staff to free another character called Mokron, which was frozen ice, which was powerful enough to get into Castle Grayskull. So that's kind of what the whole episode was based on, from what I remember. But anyway, you can see all that stuff going on here. So yeah, we got Stratos with Staff of Avion fighting the Torques and the ships. You can see the Sky Mountains of Avion, the clouds, some more Stratos' people going on here. And over to the left-hand side, I think that's Delora. So going back to DC in the mini comics, that was Stratos' wife. That'd be cool to see a character, or figure, in the Origins as well, I think. And then dropping down the left-hand side, just gives you a quick look at Stratos' accessories and action features. So once again, includes the Staff of Avion, which is awesome, and you can just twist into powerful battle positions, and that's about it. And then moving over here, of course, this is the cross-sell of all 4 figures, part of the series or Wave 2 of the Cartoon Collection. Okay, so before we take a look at Stratos, of course, he comes with a new comic, just as Merman did. It's called Perilous Power, and I went over this comic real quick in my Merman video, so if you already watched it, just bear with me for people who haven't. So you notice with a lot of these new comics, they're being marketed to sell, seems like 2 figures out of the series 1 or 2 together. You know, like so Teal and Trapjaw as part of series 2 came with their own comic, and now Merman Stratos does. Has nothing to do with the filmation, or very little from what I can see. Only the accessories they come with seems to go back to filmation. But anyway, or his episodes. Gonna bring the comic in once again. Just take a look at everything going on and read it. Yeah, this goes back to more Merman's story in his episode, with the aquatic and stuff like that. But even then, it's not accurate to that particular episode. But they just kind of make it to where Stratos and people Avions fighting Merman, and just, yeah, a bunch of wacky stuff going on. It's cool though. It's a fun comic, kind of doing its own thing. All right, and yeah, so we see Merman now has the Staff of Avion fighting Stratos with it. I thought that was Merman's trident that figure comes with in my last review, and it's not. I just noticed Staff of Avion. And the Sorceress in there. So I'm just going to going over it real quick. Got everything. And now, taking a closer look at Cartoon Stratos' head and head sculpt. Yeah, you know what to expect from the cartoon or the filmation. Simplified, but they did a good job as far as the Origins figure, I think anyway. But yeah, just, you know, it's the helmet, the eye mask, or face mask, the beard, everything's just all part of sculpt. Nothing comes off and painted in. Really no expression in the face, but he never did. So yeah, we never see the beard. Is that it? No, that's all part of the sculpt. As far as the articulation, we go left to right, go down about that far and back. There's an overall look at the side and the back of the head. Got these 3 fins raised like the just like the vintage one. So moving down to the chest and buck area. So as a typical chest and buck design, as all the cartoon Origin figures are coming with. So they are different from the vintage inspired Origins, which I'll bring the Stratos in later and compare, and we'll switch some parts around. So if you're not familiar, you can see that, right? The overall design. Now, Same thing with the arms. So we can see his armor, or the jetpack, excuse me. It's just a light blue strap that crosses the chest, right, goes around the body. There's the back of the jetpack. It's, again, more simplified, going back to the animation. But what's interesting is, I tried pulling it apart. It looked like it could separate, like these are two different pieces. But mine's not coming off. It's almost like it's glued. So I'm wondering, seems like me, is I got to remove the head and both arms to take this off. So let me remove everything. I'll try to take this off the body. Okay, so jumping ahead, yeah, you can see I removed the arms and the head from the body. It's a typical Origins style ball peg. Same thing with the arms for customs, if you're not familiar. And now it looks like this is going to pull right off the top with the two arms and the head removed. And there's a closer look at that jetpack and the strap off the body. So yeah, it's like in my figure, it's not meant to come off. That's how you have to remove it. At least the way I see it. Maybe it's just glued or something it's not supposed to be. But see the overall design. Once again, this plastic is soft, but it's not that soft. I'd be careful with this. Feels like you squeeze this too much, you can split something in here. And now bringing Stratos in once again. So I'm just going to leave the jetpack off. Obviously, I put the arms and head back on so we can take a better look at the overall buck and arm design. And we'll go over the articulation because this jetpack doesn't hinder anything. I'll put it back on a little while. So we already took a look at the head. Very simplified jetpack, right? Now we know we can spin at the waist. It can also come apart at the waist for customs if you want to change things around. As far as the arms and the articulation, right? So we know they come out already. They can go up, down, all the way forward, back. He could bend up the elbow, put his hand all the way up to the face, straighten the arm out. He comes with, the other sides are all the same as far as the articulation, right? And so he comes with two weapon gripping hands on both the left and right side. They can spin and go in and out on hinge joints. Of course, come out, and I'll take it out in a minute just to confirm they have regular Origins pegs, which I know they do. So as far as the arm wing pieces, yeah, you can see he has the Filmation style wings. You know, it has a little sculpting in there like their feathers, not as detailed as the regular Origins ones, which of course I'll bring in a little while. But they are cool for what they're doing. They're red, going back to animation. They can spin all around, and they don't have hinge joints in there, but they can go up and down like that. Go back to the comics when Stratos would fly at certain angles and stuff. The wings kind of look like that. So to remove these, yeah, let me remove both hands. Okay, so of course I removed the hands off the body. Yeah, it's typical small style Origins pegs. I had to use a blow dryer on both arms to remove these because I noticed that with a lot of cartoon figures out of package. I can't get these out until you loosen them up, but you got to be careful with these little pegs. I wish they were larger like some of the new Masterverse figures have because I have broken a couple. Anyway, here's a closer look at the wings off the arms, right? You can see, and they're just, yeah, they even have designs on the inside too, okay? Just notice that. And they don't clip on. Obviously, you got to remove the hands and put them over the arms to where the vintage, just going to bring this figure in, bring comparison a little while. Say they just clip onto the arms, this type of wings. So it's those two off the arms. And now here's another look with Stratos with all his accessories removed from the body. Obviously, the wings and the jetpack, so it's what he kind of would look like without all the stuff on. And to finish up the articulation, again, we don't need the wings and jetpack on. So we already went over the waist, the hands, the arms, the head, the whole deal. All right, so here's the newer style legs that the cartoon figures are coming with, different sculpt and the vintage inspired Origins. As far as the articulation, Stratos can go all the way out with a split. There's some cool high kicks you want them to. Kick forward about that far, go back as far as going back. Bend at the knee, spin at the knee. The legs all the same. And then he comes with these cartoon style boots, right? They can spin and the foot can go up and down and rock side to side. And you can remove these if you want. Put some regular He-Man boots on. They fit from the other vintage-inspired Origins, or you can put these on other figures. And now taking a look at Cartoon Stratos' accessories. So, of course, the only one he comes with is Staff of Avion, which is, I'm more than happy with that. I don't expect anything else. So we get the wings, the jetpack, and the staff, which is an important part of, you know, the Stratos and the Avion people. It's casted in like a yellowish gold color. It's good material. It doesn't feel like something's going to warp, but if you bend it too much, it can snap. You know, it's the kind of between thing. And now, bringing Stratos back in once again. Of course, I put the wings and jetpack back on. The Staff of Avion on his right hand, so you check that out. And that's, yeah, pretty much the Cartoon Stratos figure setup with all its accessories. Alright, so moving on to a couple comparisons and mixing and matching the parts. So I'm just going to stick with the Origins. I do have a classic Stratos and card. I have a couple of classic Stratos pieces. Maybe we'll try on this figure. But for the most part, I'm just going to stick to Origins. Anyway, So yeah, here's our new cartoon Stratos against the first release vintage inspired Origins Stratos. Now, you can see that the colors are, yeah, they're really off. I mean, both gray, but he's a really light gray, and he's a darker gray. So to try to like mix and match, like to take off the boots and put it on this figure, yeah, it ain't gonna work. I don't like it anyway. But another thing too, you can see obviously is the vintage inspired figure had hair on the chest and arms, or basically a Beastman buck and arms. Where this one is more simplified, doing what it's supposed to do, going back to the Filmation. And also speaking of colors, so you can see too, he's just such a light gray compared to the Filmation Stratos in this image here, where it looks like he has more of a purple or bluish like highlights or hue into the body, where there's just yeah, completely, yeah, very light gray color under my lights. So I noticed this trend with all the newer cartoon figures. You know, they're supposed to represent the cartoon. As far as sculpts are pretty good, but some of the colors are off. I think that's a license issue, going back to they can produce figures, but, you know, there's a whole thing where they can't use exact colors and this, that, and the other thing. It gets really complex with licensing issues, but I don't know what that's what it is. I'm just guessing. Anyway, so as far as mixing parts around, so you can see the difference in, yeah, jetpacks, obviously. Now this one, he comes with a red one, right? He has the blue, as we know. They are a little different. And then here's a wing, you know, the wing, difference in wings. Now this Stratos, I have some custom parts from Etsy, so I'm going to bring them in for a minute and show you. And now here's a quick look with that vintage inspired Stratos with my custom Etsy parts. So this is normally how I keep the Stratos set up. I just wanted to put the wings on for normal comparison against the cartoon Stratos real quick. But yeah, I like these wings. This is pretty cool. I also, you noticed that I picked up a custom Staff of Avion, right, before we got the cartoon Stratos. And yeah, I have a hook, because normally I keep him like he's flying. So these kind of clip onto the, my Stratos fell in the background, arms. They do kind of move around, but it'd be interesting to try these on the cartoon Stratos as well. So focusing on the cartoon Stratos body and overall look, the first thing I want to do is just throw the vintage inspired gray Stratos wings on the arms. So once again, I had to take these hands off to remove these wings, which these are not easy to come off. I don't like that, how hard those pegs pull. I am using a blow dryer off camera, but you got to be careful and you got to put them back in. It's kind of one thing I don't like about these, that you got to constantly remove the hands to take them off. How often are you going to do that to where these just clip on? But anyway, if you want to use the regular Origins wings on the cartoon Stratos with his backpack, it's kind of what they would look like on a figure. And now, here's a look with those custom Etsy wings on the cartoon Stratos. And once again, I left this jetpack on, which ironically matches the color of these 3D printed wings pretty good. But the problem is with these particular arms or forearms, yeah, these wings don't fit well without, yeah, maybe putting some kind of tape or piece in there to hold them. You could push them on, but now you're stretching these. And the problem with 3D printed parts is they can snap easy. And it really scratches the arms up in this figure. What I do like about them, though, they go over the hands, so you got to remove the hands again. So there is a way if you want to buy something like this on Etsy, and they do make red as well, the same seller as well as the blue ones. But for the most part, yeah, I'm not going to work well on this figure because it's going to scratch the arms up and they don't hold well. Alright, so I removed the Etsy wings. I don't think they work well in this figure, the cartoon figure's forearms, at least the wings I have. So once again, I put the Origins-inspired Stratos wings on the arms, you can see, the blue ones, and I did put his jetpack on. So yeah, of course I had to take the head, the arms off, again, get his backpack off, but at least these wings clip on, and the Stratos, vintage-inspired Stratos, you know, this jetpack setup just goes right over the body and clips onto the front. So you can check that out. Looks pretty cool in this figure. And that wire, again, for hanging, I just leave it on. So the next thing I want to do is put this Origins vintage-inspired head on a cartoon body. But here's a quick comparison. It's the overall design of the heads with the cartoon and vintage-inspired one looks like. So I'm going to leave the wings, the backpack on. We'll put this head on his body. And now there's a look with all the vintage-inspired Stratos Origins figures parts on the cartoon body. We've got the wings, the head on, and the, yeah, left the backpack, obviously. Looks, works really well for this figure because everything is, it's not like, you know, gray colors I have to blend. And the articulation of the head goes left to right, down about that far and back. So, yeah, it works well and looks good on his body. And now I put the cartoon head back on his body, took the hands off again, put his, the wings he came with on the arms again, just left the red jetpack on. So, pretty much we have all the accessories set up in red on this cartoon body. Side his loincloth and the, you know, the visor. Let me check that out. Gives him a whole little look. Okay, so bringing back in the vintage-inspired Origins Stratos, at least the gray variant or the regular one. So I have him all set up as he comes in package, right, with the wings, chest harness, of course his head. So the first thing I want to do with the setup is put the cartoon head on his body with his accessory setup. Alright, so there's a look at the cartoon head on the vintage-inspired Origins Stratos body. It looks good, so this head does work. I mean, not only on his own body, where the Origins head can work on a cartoon body, but the cartoon head can work on the Origins, regular Stratos body. Looks good, articulates well, and just, yeah, blends in cool with all the accessories. Alright, so jumping ahead with still a vintage-inspired Stratos figure in hand, you can see that I'm trying to fit the cartoon jetpack on this body. Now, it does fit, but I had to take the arms off and head again to put it on, just like the cartoon body. But yeah, it's really tight. You got to be careful. It's interesting. I guess these bodies are a little more. They look taller, but they're a little slimmer under here to where this is wider. So you got to be careful, but it does fit. So that's what I'm trying to put on now. And now there's a look at that setup. So yeah, we have the cartoon jetpack on the body as I already showed. To put the arms and head back on, so the blue wings. So you want to set your vintage-inspired Stratos up with parts from the cartoon Stratos. They can also work well. Alright, so once again with the same setup, right? Cartoon jetpack and the head on the vintage-inspired body. Of course, I took one of the hands out, like you have to do with the cartoon body, trying these wings. Alright, so I did put one on. You got to really force it over that bracer. It's just because how this is tapered. I did get the hand in, but then the hand hardly moves. I mean, go in and out, but it's kind of stuck. You can't move the wing on, and you really stretch this out. It is possible. I don't know. I think I'd just rather clip-on wings, but if you want to put these on, you can make it work by forcing them. And now, once again, here's the same setup, but I removed the cartoon blue-colored jetpack and just put the vintage-inspired jetpack on this body. So we have the red wings, we have the red jetpack and the cartoon head on the Origins body, a vintage-inspired Origins body. Looks like a cool setup. And now the next thing I want to do is put the cartoon boots on the vintage-inspired Origins Stratos body. So once again, we have the vintage-inspired backpack on, jetpack, right? The red cartoon wings, cartoon head, and the boots on this body. It's funny in the comments how some people prefer the original vintage-inspired box and bodies over this cartoon body. I like them both, but it's nostalgia to a lot of us. I do like these bodies a little better as well. It's kind of like going back to the classics versus Masterverse kind of thing. So you want to check out that setup, but that's pretty cool now that you could put some red boots off the cartoon Stratos on the vintage-inspired body. Of course, you can mix wings, armor, heads all around, all that good stuff. And then, of course, the last thing I want to do with the same exact setup, boots, wings, backpack off this original figure, I just want to put the vintage-inspired head on. So, yeah, there's so many combinations you could do to mix between bodies, but that's a pretty cool-looking setup as well. And both heads work. They're similar, but yet they're different, and they kind of give the figure a different look. And it's fun that you can mix different, whether you want to put the blue wings or this backpack on or the regular feet from this body. Now, the other thing, too, I have this body all broke apart. Right, we already went through this body, is the Stratos vintage-inspired furry feet. Right, so let me make sure. Okay, so here's this side. Now, you can put these on this figure for different type of boots if you want them. I'm just going to pop one on one side, see what that looks like. Yeah, but just see the color. If the color was a little lighter, this was darker, it would work cool. If you didn't want boots, you wanted to put some vintage feet. But for some reason, yeah, I think it's just the color's off. I don't know. Okay, see, even this figure, too, has some sculpting, like fur, working up its way up the body, where this doesn't. So they kind of look off. But if you want to do that with these boots, you didn't want to color, just chalk them up to some kind of furry, yes, separated boots from the body. They can work on this figure, and that's what they would look like. I'm only throwing one on just to give you an idea. Alright, so setting cartoon Stratos back up as he came, somewhat. And, of course, I have the hands and the backpack off at the moment. Now, I do have some classics Stratos parts. I mean, I don't know how many people are going to have these laying around, even want to do this, but that's fun to do. I have them. So it's one of the classics, the Stratos backpack, and the wings. These came in the accessory pack, right? And here's a normal. I do have this is my classic Stratos and card. I mean, totally different. This is trying to go off what the vintage figure did. Right, but more complex for the classics. Of course, there's the cartoon figure. Somewhere I do have the Super 7 cartoon Stratos. I don't know where I have them. He's in box. Doesn't matter anyway, because most of those parts are hard to come off, and they're not going to work on this figure. I tried that in my Merman review, and yeah, it's just a waste of time. Anyway, without custom. But I want to see what these parts look like on this figure. Alright, so I'm trying to put the Classics backpack on the Stratos. It does fit, but the Classics too had their flaws. Certain accessories were just really annoying and difficult the way they snap together and trying to put them on a figure. So you just had like a clip piece that had to clip into there, and then you got to snap this peg, and it keeps popping apart. If you mess around with it, you can't get it to work. It would kind of look like that on a figure. And then the other thing is, once again, with these cartoon arms, they're a little larger. So the Classics wings, they don't fit without really forcing them or cutting them or heating them up onto the arm to get the hand. I tried both of them. Yeah, that one's really narrow. It's interesting. So, yeah, I'm not going to waste time, but I just wanted to show. It is possible customization, but for the most part, yeah, they're set up a little different. The arms are wider. So for another quick comparison, of course, we have our cartoon Stratos all set back up once again. Left the backpack off, obviously, against the what they call the naked Stratos or the mini comic book Stratos. Now, of course, they're two different colors. This is just a repaint of the gray vintage-inspired Stratos already brought in, tried a bunch of combinations with. Now, he also came with a backpack, which I removed. And this is also a custom Etsy, the neck feather ring and a belt. That's the way he should have came and is set up in the mini comics. He didn't have a jetpack. He had these two pieces. And he also had the Staff of Avion. And in the story, the Staff of Avion is what let the Avion people, the bird people, fly. It wasn't a jetpack that we got with the vintage. So I'm just going to try these two parts on this cartoon Stratos with the red wings and, you know, the boots, the head, and see what that looks like. And there's a look at that setup. So that looks pretty cool. Get some custom parts, again, from Etsy. And I think they make these, the same seller made these neck feather rings in, I think, blue and red. But going back to the comics, they were red. That's accurate. I think, anyway. Put the belt on. It actually works by breaking the waist apart. All right, left the red wings on. Staff Avion hands. Check that out. Works well. All right, so moving forward. Now, here's another comparison with all four figures, part of Series 2 of the cartoon collection. I reviewed them all so far. I'm, of course, working on Stratos now. Yeah, they're all great figures. I gotta say, Merman's probably my favorite at this point. I always liked Merman, and I always wanted a cartoon-inspired Merman, but in, like, vintage form that we never got in the toy collection as kids. But here we go. It came out great. Trapjaw 2 came out really awesome. And Teela, just the way they went about her head sculpt and the overall armor, weapons, just incredible. But Stratos 2 is up there. He's really cool to have as part of this Series 2 or wave of the cartoon collection. And for one last comparison, of course, I brought in the cartoon He-Man Skeletor against Stratos because they're just always important figures in the series going back to animation, as Stratos is. Aside that, yeah, that's pretty much my review on the new cartoon Stratos. I think he's really cool, you know. He's an important character and figure in the series. I guess my only complaints is just how this jetpack and these wings come off. They got to keep popping the hands and the body part to get it off. Now, if you're going to leave them as is, it doesn't matter. If you're going to do a lot of part swapping, it's just risky because my hands are really tight, and even though I keep heating them up, pull them out, it's just, they're snapping harder and harder, and that's how you break pegs. I don't like that. Also, I noticed with this wing, for example, as I tried it on the other, during my part swapping with other Origins figures, now look at it. When I go to put it back on this arm, it's like it stretched something out, and this doesn't even fit anymore. I push it on, it just keeps rolling all over the place. Something I got to mess around with. I think I like the clip-on wings a little better that the vintage-inspired Stratos figures have. It's not the worst thing. But aside that, you know, it's cool to finally, yeah, get Stratos in the line. As I already said, he's an important part of the franchise. Glad to have him. And, yeah, I can't wait to see more cartoon figures in his collection. Now, they did announce Evelyn, Spikor, Clawful, and I believe Triclops is also coming to the cartoon line within probably the late spring or something. We'll see those figures. I can't wait to see those because they're some of the most impressive yet. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. You like Stratos and this cartoon collection. Let me know in the comments. I appreciate everybody watching. And until next time, take care.